Welcome to my kitchen again.
Today's episode is Quinoa Part 2.
In quinoa and almond protein bars, quinoa smoothie, quinoa casserole. And now, on with the show.
Welcome to Reparations Wednesdays, cooking and lifestyle hacks with Jackson.
Uhuru, this is Jackson.
I'm a proud member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. The Uhuru Solidarity Movement is the mass organization of white people working under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party, organizing in the white community to win other white people like ourselves to a stand in principled material solidarity with African self-determination, national liberation, and reparations. Our job is to win white people to raise resources that go towards the African-led economic development and political programs of the African People's Socialist Party as a concrete expression of our commitment to reparations to African people. The USM 3 principles of unity are that 1. We work under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party. 2. We recognize that African people have the right to lead their own struggle. And 3. We work in the white community for reparations. I am making this YouTube series as my Reparations Challenge, one of many fundraisers held by members and supporters of USM to raise reparations to African people. Now let's get started.
Today I will be making quinoa and almond protein bars. So I have a couple handfuls of almonds in my skillet and I'm going to put it in the oven for about 5 minutes. So I'm actually roasting the almonds for 15 minutes at 350 degrees. While that's happening, I am cooking some quinoa. So I'm making some quinoa here. I'm going to rinse and drain it and then put it in the skillet here to roast. And I'm making some more quinoa than usual, and whatever I don't use for the bars, I'm going to use for smoothies. When you rinse your quinoa, you want to stir it or shake it around a lot, because then that gets, I don't know if you can see the soapy substance coming off. So make sure to get it nice and swished around so that all that soapiness comes off, and then you drain it. Have the quinoa in the skillet, and I'm going to be toasting that and stirring it up once it starts to heat up a little bit more. I did put a tiny bit, just a splash of olive oil in here, just to be safe. I don't know if you really need to do that, but I decided to, and then I'm going to transfer it back over to the pot over here. When you toast quinoa, it brings out more of its flavor. So we see it's starting to get a little bit brown and toasty, and I'm stirring it up a little bit, so it's going pretty well. And but I wanted to show the difference in color happening here. It's not so pale, it's getting some toast to it, and bringing out some of that delicious quinoa flavor. Here we have the almonds out from the oven. So now I have the quinoa here, and I have some water in it, and I'm not going to put any veggie broth or any seasonings too much inside here. I'm just going to leave as is, because it's going to be used for a lot of sweet stuff for the bars and for smoothies. So I am going to just put in a tiny bit of salt, just a couple dashes there. So now I have the almonds in my food processor, and I'm going to blend them for 25 minutes about until they become almond butter. Depending on your blender, you may just have to pulse it for a very long time, or your blender may come with a nut butter option. I just pulsed it for about a minute, maybe a little less than that. It's become almond meal now, so now it's finer. I'm going to try a different setting and just leave it there for the longer amount of time. So I put it on the smoothie section, and or whatever it's called, the smoothie button. And now it's started to gather on the sides a little bit. You want to, push it down when that happens so that everything gets ground all fine and to the same consistency. So you'll have to do this a few times. So after about a minute or so, it's already started to bring out the oils of the nut and get kind of clumpy. So you want to continue to stir it down. And yeah, we see it's getting all nice and clumpy, and soon it's going to be more buttery. Sitting, and I don't know if you can see that, more of the oils are coming out. So perhaps soup is better than smoothie for this. We're getting there. So now we have almond butter, and look how cool, my goodness. I've never made this before, so this is very exciting. Apparently this lasts up to a month in the fridge, So of course you can blend it more if you want it a little bit more runny, or if you want it a bit more clumpy, you know, don't do it as long. This did not really take 25 minutes, close to it. So it's up to you as to how thin or thick you want it. But this is just with almonds. Started out raw and roasted them in the oven in a cast iron pan. So nothing else is added, no grossness added like you would find when you bought at the store. So this is really exciting.
And it tastes delicious.
Now I've added 3 dates. I opened them up and took the pits out, and I'm gonna blend those up. So we see the dates are all mashed in here now. So now I put in some sunflower seeds, and I put in the quinoa, and I put in a scoop of pea protein powder. And as for like how much of what to put in, it depends on your preference. Of course, you want everything to stick together, so putting in, you know, I put in a fair amount of quinoa here. I didn't actually measure it, but probably a cup, probably a little bit over a cup. And I only put in 1 scoop of protein powder, and I just put in enough sunflower seeds so that it, you know, covered the bottom about ½ inch maybe. So that's what I did. And I also put in a little bit of water. You may need to put a little bit more in, but you know, careful not to get it too runny. You want it to turn into a nice batter. So now we have a nice batter here. Oops. Nice batter here. And now I'm going to put it onto this skillet here with some parchment paper. Now we have it in the pan here, and I've squished it all out with clean hands. Just pat it down. Your hands will get kind of, you know, sticky, and just, you know, rinse them off or lick them off and then rinse them off and put it in the oven.
So I was going to put them in the oven, but I learned that you can actually just put them in the freezer for an hour, which seems much easier and don't have to keep an eye on the oven so much. So I'm going to do that.
Alright, so here is our protein bar mixture that has been frozen for a little over an hour. I have a knife here, and going to cut a little bit here. You can cut them into whatever size you want, or, you know, go into little bites. I bet you could also roll it into a little ball as well. Yeah, that would be really good. So here we have our little bar here, and it's going to be really great.
So I'm going to try this protein bar here, and it's a really nice texture. It's really good. So definitely recommend these. If you want a little sweeter, you could put in, I only put in 3 dates. You could put 4 or 5 if you like your protein bars sweeter. I put in, I think maybe I'll put in a little less water next time so it's not quite as squishy, but it's still a nice consistency. Similar to little, like, the little power ball snacks. I don't know if I don't think that's actually what it's called. Little protein little balls that you can get at a lot of cafes. You can cut it into any shape that you want and stack on it. It's really great. And now for a quinoa smoothie. When I first learned that you can put quinoa in smoothies, I was confused as to what it would go well with. And I kept looking up recipes, and I found out that quinoa can go pretty much in any smoothie. So it's up to you what you would like to put in it. I'll show you what I'm putting in mine.
So I was going to make almond milk, but I would just end up using it for the smoothie. So I just decided to put it all in together. So I have some soaked almonds in here that were soaked for overnight, and I drained them, rinsed them, put them in here. There's 2 dates in here. I put some kale and ginger and blueberries and carrots. You can probably see them over here more. And then a bunch of quinoa. And then I put some water in there and I'm going to blend it all up. And it's taken on a lovely color. You can tell that there is some quinoa in here. It definitely has a nice thicker texture. I'm going to try it here.
So the texture is a little different, but it's nice. It's, you know, it tastes like a smoothie, and it is more filling. And the texture, you can definitely tell that it's not a typical smoothie in terms of the texture. It's not grainy
but it definitely has more substance to it. And I highly recommend putting quinoa in your smoothie. So now I'm making some quinoa casserole. So I roasted some quinoa and now it is in the process of about to boil with some veggie broth. So here we have the quinoa boiling. I don't know if you can see through the steam. And then I have over here carrots and Brussels sprouts. And I'm going to add some mushrooms later. And I'm going to start the sauce in a second here. So I'm cooking the veggies in coconut oil because for the sauce I'm using a can of coconut milk and I'm adding some nutritional yeast. So what you're hearing is the veggies, they're getting softer. So I have the sauce here. I put in the recipe I base this off of said only like a few tablespoons of nutritional yeast, and I laughed because I tend to put as much as possible. So I put in about a quarter of a Trader Joe's bag of nutritional yeast and a little over a tablespoon of arrowroot powder to thicken it, and I'm going to add in some garlic and onion powder. You see the sauce has gotten nice and thick here, and I've added some mushrooms to the veggies. I'm also preheating the oven right now. So I've added the veggies into this pan, added a bit more coconut oil, and stir it up. And I'm going to put half the sauce in here and stir it up, and then the rest of it just on top of it. And then put it in the oven for 30 minutes, baking at 350. So I have stirred in half the sauce and then put the rest of it on top. And this is what it looks like. And you could, if you just wanted something quick and mushy, just serve it, eat it like this, but I'm going to bake it so it gets more sturdy. And here we are. So I pull it out after 20 minutes because I noticed that it's starting to get, prior to getting a little burned. So I wanted to take it out. If you like it, crispier and more, I don't know what the word for it is, charcoaled, you can keep it in longer, or mushier, keep it in a shorter amount of time. But this seemed right for me, so I'm going to let it cool and dig in. So here we have it, all set and cooled. I think next time I will leave it in the extra 10 minutes after all, because the middle is still a little bit soggy, but I'm sure delicious. So about to try it now. So this is delicious. Quinoa comes from so-called South America, and it's really important that we recognize that this is stolen land that we are on in the so-called Americas. And not only do we steal the land, we steal all of the resources, including food, including labor, including all of the exploitation of the farmers and the destruction of the ecosystem. 2 years ago, Channel 4 did a story about quinoa and how the indigenous population is being oppressed by the thieving of it.
Sí, bastante.
She says that there's quite a lot of malnutrition here, and it's incredible to think that they're having cheese with greasy chips and tuna fish for breakfast when they're sitting on the richest grains that are planted in the Andes, which are so popular on the other side of the world. Consumers are willing to pay for it. A kilo can cost almost £8 in health food shops, but Doris sells hers for less than £1. And as demand for quinoa soared, small farms like these now only sell it rather than eat it. Their own king of foods dropped off the menu, contributing to a health crisis here. Muy bien. 4-year-old Emily is suffering from malnutrition. Dr. Llanos has asked for further tests. He says he sees cases like these every day.
Now, the Channel 4 story and a lot of other stories go on to blame the indigenous people themselves for their own starvation, for their own poverty, for the suffering of them and their children, and it is really disgusting. It is horrible. We know what's happening. Their food is being stolen from them. They're being forced to sell it, while grocery stores sell it for 8 times or more what they are forced to sell it for. It is really horrible how they keep saying these slanderous things about the people that they are oppressing. And so we had to take responsibility for that and stand in solidarity with the indigenous peoples. We have the responsibility to use the strength and energy stolen from African people, from indigenous people, from other colonized people, and volunteer our time with this incredible movement for their liberation. And also by paying reparations to African people, because by doing that, then we are in solidarity with all oppressed peoples. Because this parasitic, violent social system is rooted in Europe and the US's attack on Africa, and from there the rest of the world, it is in our interests to pay reparations, and by supporting the African liberation movement, we become in solidarity with all oppressed peoples, including the indigenous peoples of the so-called Americas. African, indigenous, Arab, all oppressed peoples have the right to have control over their land, over their resources, including their food, and over their communities. I really want to express my appreciation for everyone who has been donating, everyone who has been sharing, subscribing. I really want to appreciate all of you for tuning in and for supporting this reparations challenge.
Every episode has a goal of $50 in reparations. Please donate at uhurusolidarity.org and put in the comments that it is for Reparations Wednesdays.
You can also pay reparations by volunteering your time, by volunteering for USM, by volunteering for Uhuru Foods and Pies, by volunteering for the Black Power Blueprint.
People from all over the country will be coming to Maker Faire to volunteer with Uhuru Foods and Pies, a fun way to raise reparations to African people. One of the ways you can volunteer is by joining the Uhuru NTU Volunteer Brigade for the Black Power Blueprint. Go to blackpowerblueprint.org to sign up. And of course, you can hold your own Reparations Challenge fundraiser. The Reparations Challenge is a campaign of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. Please subscribe to be notified about the next episode. What questions do you have? Leave a comment.
The next episode will be Sweet Potatoes Part 2.
Thank you for watching Reparations Wednesdays Cooking and Lifestyle Hacks with Jackson.